Have you ever felt weighed down by memories? An event you wish you'd handled differently? A choice that still haunts you? Or a moment you can't stop replaying? Regret can chain us to the past, blocking our ability to move forward with ease. Yet centuries ago, Gautama Buddha offered insights on impermanence and self-compassion that can help dissolve these emotional shackles. His teachings remind us that clinging to what's gone only intensifies suffering. In this script, we'll explore why we hold on to regrets, how to let them go using Buddhist principles, and practical steps to rekindle a sense of freedom and possibility. Why we cling to the past. Regret often springs from attachment, the mind's insistence that a particular outcome or event should have been different. When reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel cheated or guilty. Maybe you said something hurtful to someone you cared about, or you passed on an opportunity that might have altered your career path. Clinging to these scenarios, you replay them, trying to change an unchangeable situation in your head. Buddha noted that this mental loop intensifies suffering. By fixating on should-haves, we anchor our thoughts in illusions. We imagine a static timeline where if we'd done X, everything else would remain perfect and unaltered. In reality, every choice unfolds within a web of unpredictable variables. Things might not have gone as smoothly as you imagine. The problem isn't that you made a mistake, but that you keep mentally reliving it without gleaning real lessons or allowing yourself to heal. This cycle thrives on a false notion that dwelling on regret can fix the past or redeem the pain. But lamenting what's gone doesn't rewrite history. Instead, it saps emotional energy needed to engage with what's here and now. Recognizing that regret is a form of clinging helps you see why it's so draining. Your mind fights reality, perpetually stuck in what if. Impermanence, Buddha's lesson. On constant change. Central to Buddha's teachings is anicca, or impermanence. Everything in life, conditions, feelings, even personal identities, undergoes change. When we ignore this truth, we trap ourselves in illusions of how things should remain. Past moments, whether joyous or painful, are gone. Attempting to freeze them or rewrite them in your head doesn't align with how existence flows. Imagine your regret as a photograph you stare at, hoping the scene might shift. But the photo remains static while life marches on around you. Acknowledging impermanence means accepting that the past is already in motion towards something else. No matter how attached you are to that one snapshot, the forces of time continue. For Buddha, internalizing anicca frees mental space. If you embrace the fact that nothing, including your regrets, holds permanent sway, you begin releasing the emotional grip tying you to bygone moments. This approach doesn't deny accountability for mistakes. Instead, it invites you to incorporate them into the ongoing narrative of growth. If you realize you erred in a relationship or a career choice, you can glean the insight, maybe a clearer sense of your values, or a refined skill for future decisions. And then let that past version remain in the past. You carry forward the learning, not the chains of regret. Overcoming regret through self-forgiveness. One reason regrets gnaw at us is self-blame. We label ourselves incompetent, cruel, or foolish for what we did or failed to do. That negative self-talk cements regret as we continue punishing ourselves mentally. Buddha's teachings highlight compassion, not just for others, but for oneself. Without self-compassion, you get stuck in a cycle of shame, which ironically can spur more avoidance and procrastination. Self-forgiveness recognizes that you, like all human beings, are in a constant process of learning. Mistakes or missed opportunities often reflect limited knowledge or emotional states at the time. You can't alter that context now, but you can choose to be kinder in your internal dialogue. Instead of repeating, "I'm such a failure," try a mindful reflection. I made a choice based on what I knew then. What can I learn from it? This shift from condemnation to curiosity relieves the sting of regret, paving the way for real emotional healing. In Buddhist practice, self-compassion forms part of the path to ending suffering. If you perpetually attack yourself for past errors, you can't fully open your heart to present possibilities. By tenderly acknowledging your own fallibility, you do more than soothe guilt. You create an inner atmosphere conducive to calm, wise action. Buddha recognized that genuine growth, spiritual or otherwise, demands this gentle acceptance of human imperfection. Mindful reflection, turning regrets into insights. Dropping regret doesn't mean burying your head in the sand. Buddha advocated mindful reflection, examining your regrets to glean lessons, then releasing them. Think of a farmer who checks a failed crop. He inspects the soil conditions, the seed quality, the weather patterns, and then adapts for the next planting. He doesn't stare at the barren field in despair forever, lamenting that it should have thrived. He learns and moves on. You can do something similar. First, label the regret by writing it down. Clarify precisely what you regret, the event, the choice, or the words you spoke, so you avoid vague self-blame. Next, identify your triggers and motives, reflecting on the emotional state or external pressures that shaped your actions. Maybe fear or pride influenced you, or you lacked certain information. Understanding the context gives you a fuller picture. Then extract the lesson. Ask yourself what can guide you in future scenarios. Perhaps improved communication or verifying facts before you decide. This step transforms regret from a mental prison into a stepping stone. Finally, release the scenario after learning its lessons. You might visualize sending that memory on its way, like letting a leaf float off in a river. A symbolic gesture can help break the cycle of mentally rehashing old events. This structured reflection, akin to a short meditation or journaling session, fosters calm resolution. You honor what the past taught you, yet disengage from its emotional weight, aligning with the Buddhist principle of mindful living. Practical steps to let go. Embodying Buddha's teachings. Letting go can feel abstract, so here are tangible ways to cultivate non-attachment and reduce regret. A daily mindfulness practice might involve spending 10 minutes on breathing meditation, simply labeling drifting thoughts, regret, memory, anger, and gently returning to your breath. Repeatedly doing this trains you not to identify too strongly with mental noise. Metta, loving kindness. Meditation can also help. You begin by extending compassion to yourself, saying, "May I be well, may I be free from suffering," and gradually include others, even those tied to your regret, wishing them peace. This dissolves self-anger or self-disgust. You can further set clear boundaries with the past. If you find yourself spiraling into what-ifs, designate a short weekly reflection period for analyzing regrets. Outside that allotted time, vow kindly to redirect your mind to present tasks, cutting down on aimless dwelling. Supportive community also matters. Sharing your struggles with empathetic friends or a sangha community can release pent-up emotions and remind you that you're not alone in dealing with burdensome memories. Finally, sometimes taking action helps catalyze healing, like apologizing if you hurt someone or volunteering for a cause related to your regret. By transforming stuck energy into forward movement, you neither ignore regrets nor wallow in them. You glean insights, adjust, and move on. This balanced approach reflects the Buddhist middle way, merging reflection and compassion with practical steps toward lasting relief. Compassion for others, freeing yourself from blame. Letting go of regrets often intersects with letting go of blame, not just for yourself, but for others who may have contributed to the painful event. If you resent someone you feel caused your regret, that resentment keeps the entire scenario alive. Buddha stressed that holding grudges or resentment shackles your mind. It's another form of attachment. Compassion extends beyond personal regrets. Perhaps a loved one's betrayal triggered your spiral of "if only I'd seen the signs sooner." Even if their actions were hurtful, harboring resentment only fuels the negativity you're striving to release. Compassion doesn't excuse wrongdoing, but it acknowledges that people act from their own ignorance or pain. By stepping into empathy, you reduce emotional turbulence. This shift from blame to understanding helps you mentally part ways with the event. You see it as a confluence of many factors, not a single person's malicious intent. That perspective fosters a sense of closure, recognizing that pointing fingers or fuming won't rewrite the past. Instead of entangling your identity in victimhood or anger, you focus on how you can heal and learn, broadening your capacity for insight and kindness, building a forward-focused mindset. Ultimately, releasing regret paves the way for a forward-focused mindset. Buddha's teachings highlight the power of the present moment as the real arena for growth and transformation. If you're perpetually replaying old scenes, your attention is absent from the now, where solutions and opportunities unfold. Adopting a forward-looking attitude may involve setting fresh goals or re-energizing old aspirations with a kinder, more informed approach. If you once bungled a career move, you can revisit your ambitions with renewed clarity, unburdened by crippling self-doubt. If you damaged a relationship through careless words, you might practice more mindful communication going forward. These shifts illustrate that letting go of regret isn't passive forgetting. It's harnessing your experiences to fuel constructive change. Buddha's path was all about continuous refinement. Each moment opens the possibility for more skillful speech, more mindful action, and deeper compassion. Your regrets, seen through this lens, become lessons guiding you toward better decision-making and stronger emotional resilience. Instead of longing to rewrite the past, you invest in shaping the future. This reorientation is what monks strive for daily, living now, anchored in ethical clarity, free from the mind's old baggage. Buddha's message on letting go of the past underscores that regret locks your mind in what can't be changed, draining your capacity to thrive. By applying Buddhist principles like mindfulness, self-compassion, and acceptance of impermanence, you can release old burdens and direct your energy toward meaningful actions now. Which step feels most liberating for you? Let us know in the comments. And if this resonates, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for more insights on healing regrets, embracing the present, and finding inner peace. May each lesson guide you to freedom from past entanglements. Have you ever felt drained after too much chit-chat or realized you said things you later regretted? In a world that prizes constant communication, whether through social media, endless meetings, or casual gossip, silence can seem unnatural or even suspicious. Yet centuries of monastic traditions and figures like Gautama Buddha reveal a hidden truth. Talking less can actually make you stronger, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. This script delves into how purposeful silence fosters clarity, reduces stress, and deepens our connections with others and ourselves. If you're ready to discover why less talking often means more power, read on. The pressure to fill the space. From small talk at parties to brainstorming sessions at work, we often feel compelled to fill gaps in conversation. Silence, in many cultures, is seen as awkward, leaving participants uneasy. Marketing and media also push the idea that being vocal, visible, and constantly reachable equals success. Social media scrolls encourage hot takes on everything, reinforcing the notion that we should always have something to say. But this relentless flow of chatter can dull our senses. We're so busy broadcasting our thoughts or listening to others' streams of consciousness that we rarely pause for self-reflection. Buddha recognized this frenetic state as a prime source of suffering, pointing out that incessant dialogue often stems from the mind's restlessness, our monkey mind jumping from topic to topic, craving validation or fearing judgment. By never letting silence speak, we block the calm clarity that emerges when the mind rests. Recognizing how modern life encourages constant noise sets the stage for seeing why cutting back on verbal output can restore balance. Instead of wearing out your mental circuits in perpetual chatter, you can conserve energy, maintain deeper focus, and open yourself to the potency of listening, all hallmarks of a more stable and introspective life. Buddhist traditions on silence. Historically, Buddhist monks and nuns practiced periods of noble silence, sometimes lasting days or weeks, to deepen meditation and foster inner awareness. During these retreats, participants refrain from casual conversation, focusing on breath and body sensations. Such quietude quickly reveals how much mental noise lingers beneath the surface: anxiety, daydreams, regrets. By deliberately removing social chatter, monks discover how their own thoughts and emotions clamor for attention. This monkish silence isn't about punishing oneself, it's a method for clarity. Think about your average day. How much of your speaking is strictly necessary, and how much is habit or nervous filling of space? When you talk less, you learn to watch your mind's impulses, noticing what truly needs to be communicated and what's just reflex. This practice aligns with right speech, one aspect of the Eightfold Path, speech that's purposeful, truthful, and beneficial. By limiting idle or harmful talk, you build discipline over your words, harnessing them more wisely. Moreover, Buddha's teaching of anatta, no self, suggests that many statements we make, boasting, complaining, or gushing about our opinions, reinforce an illusion of a fixed ego. Silence helps dismantle that reflex, revealing we can exist and connect without constantly asserting ourselves. It transforms conversation from a battlefield of egos to a conscious sharing of ideas, leading to more peaceful relationships and personal serenity. Clarity through quiet, calming the monkey mind. When you reduce chatter, something remarkable happens. You start to notice your internal monologue more acutely. This may initially feel unsettling. Without the distraction of talking, you face your own swirling thoughts and latent anxieties. But facing them is the first step to taming them. In Buddhist thought, mindfulness is key to calming mental turbulence. Each moment of silence offers a mini window to observe what's happening inside you: tension in your shoulders, a reoccurring worry, or excitement for a future event. Free from constant verbal output, your mind can shift attention inward, recognizing patterns that might otherwise remain hidden. As your environment quiets, your capacity for self-awareness grows. Instead of broadcasting every fleeting idea or feeling, you listen internally, sorting trivial from significant. This mental decluttering fosters a sense of control, knowing where your energies lie and how to direct them. Over time, you become more grounded, less reactive. You might even spot solutions or creative sparks that chattering might have drowned out. Silence, in other words, isn't emptiness. It's a fertile space where your mind can breathe and reorganize, letting genuine insight emerge. Building empathy through listening. Talking less doesn't merely help you, it profoundly impacts how you relate to others. In our rapid-fire culture, we often talk at each other, rushing to share opinions or stories. Rarely do we pause to let the other person's words sink in. This dynamic leaves many feeling unheard, sparking misunderstandings and distance. When you choose to speak less, you open space for genuine listening. You focus on the speaker's tone, expressions, and emotional subtext, far more than if you were preoccupied with crafting your next point. This depth of listening fosters empathy, bridging divides that quick, surface-level conversations can't. For instance, a colleague who usually rattles off work updates might, under your receptive silence, reveal hidden anxieties or needs. A friend might share personal burdens they rarely mention because you finally gave them unhurried room to articulate them. Buddha viewed right speech as not only about speaking truthfully, but also about hearing truthfully. If you're busy talking, you can't effectively absorb another person's perspective or emotion. By willingly stepping back and letting silence fill dialogues, you gather richer insights into others' experiences. The result is stronger emotional bonds, reduced conflict, and a more compassionate approach to everyday interactions. In a sense, minimal talking amplifies your ability to connect on deeper levels. Ironically, by receding from center stage, you become more attuned and helpful. The spiritual power of silence. Beyond practical perks like better listening, Buddha highlighted a deeper, almost sacred function of silence. It becomes a gateway to self-discovery and spiritual maturity. Freed from the noise of habitual speech, the mind confronts ultimate questions. Who am I beneath labels and banter? What do I truly seek? Monastics often rely on extended silence to strip away superficial identities, letting them sense the fluid nature of self, anatta, in real time. In a secular sense, adopting short intervals of silence can produce similar reflections. When you resist the urge to fill space, you see how your identity often hinges on stating opinions, telling anecdotes, or affirming your persona. Silence disrupts that pattern, compelling you to realize you can be without performing or proving. This realization carries a liberating effect, removing the compulsion to define yourself constantly. Moreover, quiet fosters a capacity for humility. By not always proclaiming your knowledge or experiences, you open yourself to new learning. You notice subtle details, read body language better, and stay curious instead of certain. Buddha valued this humility as a bulwark against arrogance, a trait that can blind us to growth opportunities. Silence, then, can be both a journey and a shield. A journey into the essence of your being and a shield against the pitfalls of ego-driven speech. Practical ways to embrace silence. In the hustle of modern life, total retreats into silence might seem impractical. Yet you can weave smaller practices that echo monastic discipline. One approach is the micro-retreat. Set aside a brief time daily, maybe early morning or late evening, where you're phone-free, avoiding conversation unless absolutely necessary. Treat it as an appointment with yourself, letting quiet rule. Even 10 or 15 minutes can reset mental clutter and anchor you in calm. Another tactic is single tasking. While not total silence, it mirrors the monastic focus by dedicating yourself fully to one activity, such as reading or cooking, without background chatter or music. This fosters presence. You listen to the moment rather than dividing your senses. Over time, the discipline to remain silent with tasks deepens mental clarity. If you're feeling adventurous, consider a silent half-day or weekend retreat at home, giving loved ones a heads up. Engage in quiet chores, journaling, or meditative walks. Notice initial restlessness, then observe how your mind adjusts. The purpose isn't to become a hermit, but to glimpse how minimal talking can free you from constant mental output, paving the way for restful introspection. Dealing with discomfort and social expectations. Choosing silence can clash with social norms. Colleagues or friends might ask, "Is everything okay?" if you speak less. Family gatherings might deem extended quiet awkward. Buddha faced similar skepticism when stepping away from worldly chatter. Yet his refusal to overindulge in talk was rooted in compassion, not disregard. He wanted his words to be meaningful, not empty. When discomfort arises, gently explain your intention to practice mindful speech or take a quiet pause. Most reasonable people respect thoughtful intentions once they grasp them. If someone accuses you of being aloof, clarify that you're focusing on listening or practicing calm presence, not ignoring them. Over time, they may come to appreciate the depth your silence brings to conversations. The real challenge may be internal, an itch to fill silence or worry about how others perceive you. Buddhist teachings recommend observing this itch with curiosity. Label it as fear of awkwardness or desire for validation, then breathe. Let the moment pass. This approach builds mental resilience. Each time you resist the compulsion to speak without purpose, you reinforce your capacity to hold space calmly, a skill that can prove invaluable in any setting, from negotiations to heartfelt dialogues. Reaping the benefits: peace, focus, and deeper relationships. Over time, reducing speech in favor of intentional silence yields multiple rewards. First, you conserve mental energy. Non-stop talking tires the mind, often leading to hasty words or regrets. By filtering out needless chatter, you stay fresher and think more clearly. Second, you cultivate inner peace. You're not constantly reacting verbally, so your mind rests more readily. This calmer interior environment translates into lower stress and sharper focus when tasks demand your full attention. In relationships, the payoff is significant. Speaking less, listening more, and giving others the floor fosters empathy and trust. People sense that you genuinely value what they have to say, which strengthens bonds. Repeatedly practicing mindful silence also trains you to respond, not react. Instead of blurting out an emotional retort, you take a second to breathe, weigh your words, and offer a measured reply. These shifts can also enhance your personal leadership. Whether you lead a household, a team, or just yourself, measured speech demonstrates self-control and credibility. Others see your words carry weight because you only speak when necessary. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason." Buddha would likely agree that the proportion underscores the power of quiet receptivity. Moving forward with monastic wisdom. As you integrate silence into your daily routine, remember that it's not about ceasing speech entirely, but refining your relationship with it. If you slip back into rambling or impulsive chatting, treat it as an opportunity to practice compassion toward yourself. Buddha recognized that mastery over habits takes time and patience. Awareness is the first step. Catching yourself mid-ramble can become a mini-victory if you calmly pivot to mindful quiet. You might also explore supportive tools. Some people join meditation groups or sanghas that encourage regular silent retreats or designated hush periods. Others experiment with journaling, which channels the urge to express into a private, reflective space. That practice can fulfill emotional needs for sharing without adding to the external noise. Over weeks or months, your comfort with silence expands. You may discover whole new dimensions of creativity, introspection, and empathy once freed from the compulsion to verbalize every thought. Ultimately, you transform from someone who fears silence as awkward or lonely into someone who finds nourishment in quiet intervals. Like monks who discovered that silence sharpens wisdom and fosters genuine bonding, you too can experience how stepping back from constant chatter opens the path to personal strength and mental clarity. Buddha's insight into silence shows that talking less can do more than reduce noise. It can amplify your self-awareness, deepen your connections, and anchor your emotional balance. By cutting back on unnecessary speech, you save mental energy, master impulsive reactions, and listen more fully to others. Is there a small step you can take today? Perhaps a mindful pause before speaking or a mini silent retreat at home? Share your reflections in the comments. And if this perspective on quiet resonates, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel Monk Mindset for more guidance on living with depth, calm, and authentic presence. Have you ever found yourself craving a sense of calm and clarity, yet feeling pulled in countless directions by the pressures of daily life? In our busy modern world, we often forget that ancient wisdom can offer a steady path forward. By reflecting on timeless Buddhist teachings, like the value of focused effort, the power of genuine intention, and the promise of self-mastery, we can learn to transform distraction into mindful living. Ready to rediscover your own inner stillness? Let's explore how these centuries-old insights can illuminate our modern journey. The Potter's Wheel of Karma. Imagine shaping your life the way a potter shapes clay, molding each detail with thoughtful attention. In ancient Buddhist philosophy, karma is not just about destiny. It is a dynamic dance between your intentions, actions, and the results that follow. Each decision you make forms a single thread in the tapestry of your existence, eventually weaving into your everyday reality. Recognizing that your choices create the life you live can be both humbling and empowering. This means you are not helpless, adrift on a sea of random events, but rather a co-creator of your own destiny. In modern life, it's easy to blame traffic jams, job pressures, or the unpredictability of social media for our stress and dissatisfaction. Yet when you see yourself as the potter who shapes each outcome, you begin to reclaim your power. Every word you speak, each habit you adopt, and all the thoughts you entertain form the clay of your future. By taking responsibility for these actions, you lessen the grip of victimhood and open the door to intentional living. Rather than letting life happen to you, you can choose how you want to happen to life, aligning your actions with who you truly aspire to be. The bridge of right intention. Stepping onto the bridge of right intention invites you to consider the underlying reasons behind everything you do. When your motives are vague, your path becomes just as hazy. Perhaps you're scrolling through your phone at night because you want distraction, or you're rushing through tasks with no clear sense of direction. Ancient wisdom teaches us that a clear, compassionate intention serves as the guiding star of our actions, shining light on the road ahead. In daily life, this means your goals should spring from a place of authenticity. If you crave peace, you might set aside consistent moments of silence, allowing your mind to rest from the daily clamor. If you yearn for professional growth, you could define a focused plan to sharpen your skills. Right intention flows from a well-defined inner compass. It helps you identify what truly matters: family, meaningful work, self-awareness, and channel your energy accordingly. This clarity safeguards you from drifting off course and empowers you to remain consistent even when motivation wanes. The more you refine your purpose, the steadier your steps across life's many bridges will be. The forge of self-mastery. In an age brimming with endless distractions, email pings, social media alerts, streaming services, guarding your mental and emotional well-being can feel like a monumental task. Ancient Buddhist teachings describe self-mastery as an internal forge where disciplined effort refines your potential into genuine skill. Instead of merely wishing for focus, you repeatedly strengthen your mind by choosing constructive practices over shallow diversions. True self-mastery involves a commitment to progress that stands firm even when impatience or temptation tries to derail you. Imagine forging steel. Intense heat and pressure transform raw material into something resilient. By constantly deciding to read a book rather than scrolling mindlessly, or opting for a calming breath instead of lashing out in anger, you are tempering your spirit. Soon, your tolerance for discipline grows, and the once impossible routines become everyday rhythms. The modern world may test your determination at every turn, but remember that you hold the hammer. Every time you invest in your betterment, through personal reflection, mindfulness, or creative pursuits, you stoke the fires of self-mastery. Over time, you'll notice your capacity to stay calm, adapt, and persevere evolves into an unbreakable inner core. The archer's discipline. Picture an archer poised to release an arrow. If their mind wanders or their stance falters, the shot veers off course. Like that archer, you, too, need stability before you let your intentions fly. In the swirl of modern chaos, small, repetitive actions can anchor your day and keep you on target. Waking up at a set time, journaling your goals, or dedicating the first hour of the day to creative work, these seemingly trivial habits form the disciplined posture from which you release each arrow of effort. Ancient teachings remind us that major breakthroughs often result from the accumulation of countless small steps. Achieving mastery does not hinge solely on motivation. Instead, it relies on a consistent routine that you trust, even on days when enthusiasm wavers. People who embrace discipline as a daily ritual often discover that the path to success has little to do with instant gratification. Rather, it emerges from the steady practice of investing time, energy, and focus into the tasks that matter. By becoming an archer in your own life, you learn to train your body and mind to align with your objectives, ensuring that every shot, every moment, brings you closer to your intended mark. The riverbank of equanimity. Along a tranquil riverbank, the waters flow ceaselessly by, representing the constant movement of life's events and changes. Equanimity is the calm riverbank itself, the unshakable ground beneath your feet regardless of external chaos. In Buddhist teachings, equanimity arises when you stop chasing every fleeting desire and panicking at every unfavorable turn. Instead of wasting energy on what you cannot control, you focus on what is always within reach. your breath, your attitude, and your ethical principles. In a modern context, equanimity might look like maintaining your sense of peace when personal plans abruptly change or when unforeseen difficulties arise at work. You recognize that while you cannot prevent the flow of ups and downs, you can choose how you respond to them. By learning to ride the waves with grace, frustration and disappointment have less power over your mood. When grounded in equanimity, you make decisions from a place of balance rather than impulse. This serenity, cultivated over time, becomes your home base, a steady refuge where you recharge. Whenever the current of life feels overwhelming, remember you have an anchor in your own mindful awareness, always ready to return you to calm waters. The Phoenix of Right View. From the ashes of adversity, the legendary phoenix rises reborn, symbolizing transformation through struggle. Right view, an essential teaching in Buddhism, encourages us to see setbacks as catalysts for growth, rather than final verdicts on our worth. Every disappointment, heartbreak, or failure has the potential to ignite new wisdom once we accept it as part of our story. This is the lens that transforms suffering into a kind of teacher, guiding us to reflect on the lessons hidden within life's darker moments. When misfortune strikes, the initial sting can feel overwhelming. Yet if you remain present and refrain from labeling the event as purely negative, you create space for learning. Perhaps a lost job nudges you toward a career that aligns more with your core values, or a painful relationship breakdown leads you to deeper self-awareness. The flame of hardship need not consume you. Instead, it can strip away illusions, burn through complacency, and reveal an inner strength that you might never have discovered otherwise. Embracing right view means trusting that every challenge holds seeds of renewal if you are willing to greet it with openness and curiosity. The lighthouse of prioritization. Think of a tall lighthouse piercing through the fog with a single, unwavering beam of light. That beam is your sense of priority, a bright focus guiding you through the haze of endless distractions. When everything competes for your attention, from incessant notifications to myriad social obligations, your progress easily stalls. Ancient wisdom highlights that meaningful achievement stems from consistent focus, not scattered effort. By consciously choosing what truly deserves your energy, you effectively shine a guiding light on your goals, ensuring they remain visible amid life's countless diversions. In practice, prioritization means picking the single project that matters most each day and devoting your best hours to it. It means saying no more often so you can wholeheartedly say yes to what genuinely aligns with your core values. This can be challenging as we often fear missing out or disappointing others. Yet every time you guard your focus, you reaffirm your commitment to building a purposeful life rather than a busy one. Over time, the simple act of shutting off notifications, scheduling deep work sessions, or creating boundaries around your digital usage can reinstate you as the captain of your own attention. Like a steadfast lighthouse keeper, you ensure your guiding light never dims. Reframing failures as opportunities. Failure often comes with a sense of finality, but reframing it can open a door to deeper insight. From a Buddhist perspective, nothing is truly stagnant. Everything is in flux, which means setbacks are merely points along the path, not dead ends. The difference lies in how you interpret them. Do you regard each stumble as evidence of your limitations or as valuable feedback for refining your approach? When you see failure as a chance to regroup and recalibrate, it loses its power to paralyze you. Modern life amplifies the fear of imperfection, with social media showcasing glossy highlights and encouraging us to hide our shortcomings. Yet some of the world's most innovative accomplishments emerged after countless experiments that failed. Each disappointment taught the pioneers of art, science, and business where their methods faltered and how they could adapt. Whether you're learning a new skill, applying for a promotion, or starting a side hustle, failure becomes a building block if you strip away the shame and embrace the lessons. This approach fosters resilience. It nurtures a balanced mindset that can stretch and grow through every obstacle leading you to unexpected triumphs and profound self-awareness. Thank you for sharing this journey into ancient wisdom, adapted for our modern challenges. May these practices serve as a steady hand whenever life feels chaotic, encouraging you to maintain discipline, find clarity, and embrace each failure as a teacher. True transformation happens one choice at a time, and each new day offers the chance to shape your destiny with mindful intent. If you enjoyed these insights, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for more contemplative explorations that guide you toward greater balance and peace.